What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/Today I F'd Up. Now, in today's first story, some unfortunate dude playing a game in virtual reality accidentally steps outside his real-life boundaries, causing him to go to hospital. Today I F'd up by playing VR. So, I recently replaced my poorly functioning Oculus Rift CV1 with a Quest 2. Facebook-driven privacy issues aside, I've been desperate for a headset I can afford and that would actually work. For those who don't have experience with these devices, I will say that the CV1 is wired and dependent upon a capable gaming PC, while the Quest 2 is natively wireless, with the option to hook up to the PC for added power. Let me tell you, it is very easy to get used to the inherent mobility restrictions of being tethered to a PC, and even easier to get carried away in your play area when you transition to wireless. But the boundaries do not suddenly change. Last weekend, I was getting really into Echo VR, which is essentially a team-based 3D ultimate frisbee game. You and your team fly around in a zero-G arena with the objective of throwing a disc into a goal past the opposing players. Highest score wins, pretty straightforward. After a few drinks and perhaps a bit of that jazz cabbage, I'm pretty well immersed in this virtual escape. I'm having a good time shooting stuff with other players, getting a light workout, jumping around my office, playing virtual frisbee soccer. The game is nearing the end. The disc comes my way, I lunge for it, and I'm startled out of my virtual revelry by an impact and the sound of crashing glass. F! I knocked over my water glass and shattered it. Better jump out of this game and clean this up. My sleeping girlfriend is going to roll her eyes in the morning if she didn't wake up from the clatter. I rip off my headset and I'm greeted by a murder scene instead of a minor flood. It turns out that the sound of crashing glass was not a fallen water vessel, rather it was the sound of a fist crashing through a plate glass window. I had lunged right through my established VR boundary and punched out a window in the French doors of my office, severely lacerating my hand. One trip to the emergency room later, in the middle of a pandemic that is causing bed shortages in my area, and I am now recovering during a break from VR and gaming altogether with 3 stitches on my pinky, 6 stitches on my middle finger, 9 on the meaty part of my thumb. I also nicked an artery and spurted blood all over myself, including my face mask, and I sliced off half of the nail and nail bed of my index finger. A total of 18 stitches. Now that's immersion. Needless to say, I am taking a break from VR, and I implore people to set up their boundaries with some built-in leeway. Don't draw your boundaries at the base of your obstacles. Give yourself some cushion for the inevitable F-up. Wow, what an amazing story. I mean, OP, to be fair to you, you were after immersion. I guess that is the reason why you would go into the virtual reality. But yeah, I'm not sure you wanted to go that far. Guys, let me know in the comments down below, have you ever played VR? And if you have, I personally haven't, so I can't really give you a story about my own personal experience. Have you ever, gone outside the boundaries that you've set for yourself within the game and, crashed into something within your room? I want to know, and I want to know if it was funny or painful. Now moving on to our next post. Today I F'd up by getting tased by my grandmother. I still can't comprehend what was weirder. The sensation of being tased for the first time, or the fact that it was my grandmother who tased me. Anyway, there have been many robberies around my grandparents' neighbourhood, so I got my grandma a taser, just in case anything happens, and taught her how to use it, since the police take half a century to arrive. After like a week, my mum, sister and I decided to spend the rest of the weekend at our apartment, right above my grandparents' house. So, when we reached our apartment, which is like a 5-second walk away from my grand's, my mum remembered that she did not get enough water for the 3 of us for the whole night. So she gives me 2 huge glass bottles and tells me to fill them with water at Granny's house. Our dispenser was clapped because of the dust accumulation, by the way. Here's the catch. If it was 7, 8, or even 9 PM, I would have simply knocked the door and finished filling the bottles. But it was 1 AM, past midnight. Can you imagine the chills an old lady in her 70s would feel if she hears water flowing at the kitchen in the middle of the night? Or even the chills that ran down my spine as I tried to unlock an old wooden door with mildly rusty hinges, fill 2 bottles using a loud as F dispenser, and zoom out ASAP? So look, pretty much, I didn't want to knock the door on an elderly couple in the middle of the night. I was hoping my gran would hear me saying I'm her grandson, not some sadistic maniac trying to rob her. So, firstly, I tried to open the door as silently as possible, but to no avail. It squeaked like a kid high on cocaine. I can't even imagine how I got past that door without waking up half the neighborhood. Secondly, I tiptoed to the loud as F water dispenser and started filling each bottle slowly but steadily. At this point, all my senses were amplified. My heart rate was like a Mexican band on crack performing on a holiday, and I was sweating profoundly. Yeah, I completely agree with OP here. You know when it's completely silent, you're also trying to be quiet, not to wake anyone else up, and all you can hear is just your heartbeat thumping so loudly. Yeah, it's crazy. See, this is where my grandmother sneaks up on me while I turn my back to fill the bottles. She didn't know it was me because I was in my pajamas. They're baggy and comfy as heck, but they do make me look like a hobo sometimes. Just for that, she thought I was a hobo trying to steal something from the kitchen, so she rammed the taser into my back and electrified me. I can't even describe what it felt like or what the heck I was doing, whether I was solid as a plank or wiggling violently like a freaking fish. Even more, it took her a solid 5 seconds to realize it was actually me, not someone else, until she stopped tasing me. It turned out that the door did actually wake up half the neighborhood, including my grandma, and she was preparing the taser as I filled the bottles. I don't know what I was supposed to expect from sneaking in past midnight and causing a load of noise in the process. Heck, I don't even know if I should be proud of my grandma for taking action against an intruder, which I clearly was, or annoyed because I got freaking tased by an old lady for filling water bottles. To be honest, mate, I reckon you just got to take the L on this one. Your grandma has absolutely played you, and let's be completely honest, right? She's done everything that you would want her to do in that situation. I mean, you gave her a taser for the reason to go and tase someone who is intruding. You were intruding. Just gonna say, I know you're related, but you were intruding, and you were wearing some pretty dodgy clobber. So, yeah, I reckon she did the right thing in that situation, to be honest. All I would say is maybe it wasn't the best idea to go into your grandparents' house without knocking at 1 a.m. That sounds like, yeah, just a weird idea, especially with a door that is that loud to wake up the entire neighborhood. I mean, what sort of door is that? I know you said the hinges are bad, but a little bit of WD-40 should do the trick on that one. Yeah, maybe in future, just go the night without having some water. I reckon you'd be okay. Now moving on to our final post. Today I effed up by embarrassing my kid and involving the police. Key preliminary backstory. On Thanksgiving, my youngest plays Smashy Smash with my phone, damaging the sound chip connected to the microphone, rendering phone calls impossible on my phone. Can't hear people, people can't hear me, it just doesn't work unless connected to Bluetooth. It does literally everything else except phone calls. For a phone, you'd say that's probably not the best. Key secondary backstory, my fiance's van has a Bluetooth stereo that doesn't like syncing to phones occasionally and will just not respond to the call option. So even if the phone was working properly, it still might not work when connected to Bluetooth if the van was feeling moody. My 9-year-old stepdaughter, who will henceforth be referred to as Squid, had an eye appointment this morning. So she was to go to school late once the appointment was over. Squid specifically requested that I take her to her appointment instead of her mother. Mainly because when I drive, we crank up the music and goof around more so than when mum is driving. She enjoys it, I enjoy it, everybody's having fun. So, come 9:45, we're moseying our way to her appointment. The stereo is connected to my playlist and we're just flipping through songs. Now, sometimes I like to play older music, or just weird music that the kids don't like. And then I like to overdramatically sing along in the most embarrassing way possible because it's funny. And on comes The Sign by Ace of Base. Her distaste for the song is almost immediate, and my need to rub it in good fun, was strong. So I cranked it up and started bouncing around and singing along. She's laughing and telling me to knock it off, and then does like a fake trying to crawl out the window and yelling for help thing. It's all fun. Well, the police officer in the parking lot at the light who saw this did not think it was fun and deemed it as a threat. So, as we proceed through the intersection, he lights me up and pulls me over. I at first thought that maybe I blew a red light, so I turned down the music, tell Squid to chill out, and pulled over in the nearest parking lot. When he used the PA to tell me to turn off the vehicle and step outside, I quickly realised that this was not about rolling a red light. Hands in the air, he comes and cuffs me and has me sit on his hood. Backup arrives and starts questioning me as he starts questioning Squid, who is frantically crying and wanting to know what is happening. And here's the everything that makes this stop that much more difficult. Myself, my fiance, and Squid all have different last names. Remember how my phone doesn't make phone calls? I can't call my fiance. I explained the phone issue to the cop. He doesn't understand because I already said it was connected playing music. Remember how the van stereo gets moody? Yeah, it's in a mood now, so the cop thinks I'm lying. The other officer tries to call my fiance from his phone. She isn't answering, even more suspicious. But the initial officer and the officer questioning me are now arguing because Squid is telling the exact same story, giving the same phone number and saying the exact same thing. Our addresses check out, the van checks out, everything checks out, but this one officer does not want to let it go. Then Squid said the smartest and dumbest thing imaginable. "No, you listen! Call my dad!" So they get my phone for Dad's cell number. Dad answers the phone, the officer starts explaining the situation, and obviously Dad is worried. But as the explanation unfolds, I can hear him laughing, and he says, "Was the stereo blasting too?" The police have now gotten his confirmation that all is well in the land of Oz. This was not a kidnapping, and everything is fine. That must have been, a sweaty moment for sure. We're free to go, now 20 minutes late for her eye appointment. We explained, they rescheduled, my fiance calls me because Squid father called her, and she's all freaked out. Squid is still shaken up, so we called her out of school and got morning ice cream at DQ, because why not? I mean, come on guys, that is obviously the least that Squid deserved in this situation. A little bit of ice cream just to calm her down after, let's be honest, a pretty traumatic experience. I mean, I'm kind of joking here, but like, imagine being pulled over, you're 9, and the person you're with is getting berated by the police. You would be absolutely you'd be like, what is going on here? Of course she was shaken up, so yeah, makes sense. Get her some ice cream. But also, I'm concerned for her health of her eyes, because eye tests are very important. So hopefully she can reschedule for a time soon, because otherwise she might get an eye infection or might lose her vision or might need glasses. You got to think about these things, guys, all right? It's not as simple as just a story. What about the health of the eyes? But yeah, overall, what a mental story. I mean, it's pretty cool that you just give this girl a lift to whatever she needs to go to and just pump music out. But yeah, every little bit of thing that could go wrong in that situation kind of did. You know, the phone, the fact that the 9-year-old Squid was fake, crawling out the window, screaming for help. Maybe advise her not to do that in future. You know, it looks quite bad just to an onlooker or, you know, a policeman that you happen to be driving past. Yeah, overall, amazing story though. I enjoyed it. Just you got very, very unlucky. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this video. If you want more stories like that last one, which I personally really enjoyed, first of all, drop a like on this video to let me know that you want to see more from this subreddit. Comment your opinions on the stories down below. And then also watch this video, another r/today I effed up video I made not that long ago, if you want more amazing stories like this one. Yeah, subscribe up here, check out my merch down here, and make sure to watch the next video when I post it, whenever that may be.